Hi, I hope you had a good start into the new year. In my first video of 2025, I wanted to discuss psychological warfare and mind control. One could argue that World War III has long started without anyone really noticing. Key dates were 2001, which started the global war on terror, 2015, which started mass migration, and 2020 with the pandemic. All that led to an increase in worldwide instability and a decline in human health, demonstrating also global synchronization of countries and the start of suppression of free speech and the beginning of mass surveillance. Part of this agenda is also climate change, gender war, and the equality, diversity, inclusion agenda, the war on farmers, and so on, pushing of AI, of course. People aware of some of these developments are pushed on certain social media platforms like Telegram or X to create insulated bubbles fed with over-exaggerated information, misinformation, making them overly vigilant, agitated, and even angry, and hence predict certain scenarios and escalations rashly, thus creating false warnings and discrediting themselves, while others consuming legacy media are lulled into false safety, oblivious to alternative interpretations, making them the other extreme end of the spectrum. This polarization or divide and conquer is part of the agenda too. Back in 2020, I would not have thought how slow and gradual the process is. And now at the start of 2025, it has still not escalated yet. This is a sign of fine-tuning and hence design. Do the disruptions too fast and people become aware of them. Do them too slow and it takes too long and society is too hard to control by whoever is doing it. Back then, around 2020, I thought it would only take a year or two until people realize what's going on and as a result disengage with legacy media and the political game or the democracy simulation. People are clueless as ever and are not getting any of it. So movie scripts can be illuminating. The 2016 movie The Fifth Wave discusses how an alien attack conquers the planet in a sequence of steps. First wave, an EMP disabled electronics and infrastructure. In a way we can see this already in parts in Europe, where the power supply is undermined by the green agenda in the Russian-Ukraine war. Second wave, massive tsunamis, destroyed coastal cities. We know this from wildfires, hurricanes and floods and so on. Third wave, plagues eliminated parts of the population. We had COVID and another might come according to Bill Gates, the big one still coming. Fourth wave, human infiltration. Aliens disguised as humans, so distrust and chaos. LGBTQ+, wokeness, green agenda, political polarization do their part along similar lines. Fifth wave. In the movies they used surviving humans as soldiers against each other, resembling a civil war. This conceptual framework reflects a highly strategic progression where each wave builds on the damage and confusion caused by the previous one. Waves represent successive efforts to erode resistance and achieve ultimate victory over the people. So in 2023 we had the movie Leave the World Behind. In that movie there's a 3-stage strategy explained or used. The first one is disabling communication networks and infrastructure. The initial phase involves disrupting essential services such as electricity and internet to create worldwide confusion and hinder coordination. The looming power outages go in this direction already. Second, spreading of misinformation. The second phase focused on disseminating false information to sow discord and mistrust among the population, further destabilizing societal structure, fostering political polarization, gender war, racism, etc. move us in this direction. The third one was exploiting resulting chaos. In the final stage, adversaries capitalized on the rising chaos, leading to societal collapse or facilitating coup d'etat or civil war. While it is hard to know how fast the process will be, one of the key skills one can have is becoming aware of the propaganda. To me, reading and understanding nonverbal communication, aka body language, are key ingredients for staying skeptical and to gain insight into what's true and what's false. and what their likely intended effect of misinformation is, which is allowed to spread on social media. To illustrate the ongoing psychological war, I will briefly discuss Lily Phillips, the OnlyFans porn activist disrupting relationships, the drone hype causing confusion and massive distraction, and the US-American William Tell infiltrating and pacifying Germans. Okay, let's get started. Okay, here first, Lily Phillips, the OnlyFans porn activist. Here from the documentary describing how she slept with 100 men in one day.
Other people in the industry definitely look down on me for doing this, but I think at the end of the day, people forget that it's also my fantasy, and this is also something that I'm really enjoying and want to do and have wanted to do before I was even in the industry.
Our filming was interrupted briefly by a phone call from Lily's mother. Apparently, she calls Lily every day.
Mum always calls me every day. What have you been up to today? I was just getting railed. What are you? No, they're just sort of checking in on me.
You've obviously spoken to your parents about this, right?
I actually haven't. My parents know what I do, but I'm not on the phone to them every day going, oh, you know, I just got DP'd, 17 guys today, or this and that. They don't need to know the logistics.
Of course.
I do feel a little bit like embarrassed being like, Mum and Dad, I'm 100 guys.
Why?
I guess because it's not really what my parents would have wanted me to do. Doesn't mean to say my parents are like going to disown me or hate me or anything like that. I just don't want them to think less of me.
So we see her here in full makeup. This is just a nice contrast to how we see her later. There are many reasons why women put makeup on, but it can be psychological armor or barrier, a protective layer, a kind of transformation. It might also illustrate an illusion behind which one can hide. One can present a curated, better version of oneself. So the question I often have is then, what is one trying to hide? What does she not want you to see?
We can still be like very close and stuff like that, but I just don't think they need to know like exactly every single detail.
Yeah. But they'll find out, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. This is the thing I think with like my career and stuff like that. We're not sat here talking about, oh, I filmed this with us today, or you know, I filmed this, because there's just no need. I remember my dad saying like, my friends talked about you, like seeing you on mobile, something like that, and they know, but like there's just no point in being.
It's interesting the important role her parents play. Her mom calls every day. Her dad knows what she's doing. So her mom is basically her pimp. You can tell that she's doing it out of love for the parents. So there's some earlier family entanglement likely. There could be a female family member like her mom or someone even earlier who was not seen, who was suppressed, who got no attention or who was invisible. Somehow she's doing that for her parents, in particular her mom.
Like, oh, you know, I'm doing this or doing that.
Yeah. Are there days where you second guess it ever?
Not particularly. There are days where I'm sat here on a Sunday, I am feeling a little bit more lonely. My friends have all got boyfriends, and I'm like, you know, I see a comment and people are like, God, no one's ever going to marry you or something like that. And that can definitely like make me feel a little bit like, oh God, have I chose the wrong career? But like, I just totally love my job. But just like people talking about your body constantly, how you look, every day someone like picking at you, I think that's the hard part. And also just the pure fact that people think so much less of you.
Yeah.
There's also the aspect of narcissism, which comes out here. And that aspect of immortality might trump questions of who's gonna marry her and so on, and what would her future kids think of her. So the immortality or Cleopatra complex is a key aspect here.
Holy
shit. I guess he actually can. Is that real?
Yeah, he's not good with smells. And there's Rose. That's nice. One of the girls. And how are you feeling?
Surprisingly, downstairs is not really sore.
Okay.
It's more just tired. My eyes sting like nothing else.
Why?
Because of all the cum in it.
When was the last time you ate?
I think I had a yam yam. Yam yam, is that what they're called? A little pastry. And I think I had a sandwich, and that was kind of, and then the rest cum. It's not for the weak, girls. If I'm honest, it was hard. I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Why not?
I think if you're a different type of girl, it's very like, it's kind of like being a pro in a sense of like, it's just a different, just one in, one out, like it feels intense.
Like more intense than you thought it might?
Definitely.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Just take
Yeah, 1 minute. I guess the interactions when like I'd have to stop them early and like you'd have to stand on business and be like, I'm so sorry, you got to go, and like the awkward interaction of like you feeling pressure to have to make them come if like you haven't spent enough time with them and feeling like they didn't, like you didn't give them a good time because like they only got 2 minutes.
And that's what's making you feel emotional, is that maybe you think you didn't give some guys a good enough time today?
Yeah, and it's hard, I think, having the interactions with them when they're like, what, you're not going to make me finish, I've come all this way, like kind of like guilt tripping me a little bit. I felt bad, like some people just travel so far, like I didn't want to give them a shit time and like come away from this and be like, oh, that's shit. I think sometimes like feeling so like robotic, like by the, I think like the 30th, you know, like when we're getting on a bit, I've got like a routine of like how we're going to do this, and like it just, sometimes you'd like disassociate and be like, you know, like it's not like normal sex at all.
So now we see her afterwards without makeup, or the makeup washed off or used off, and we get to see how she really is. You can see a glimpse of reality. So there are two things in particular. Her eyes, one eye closes. She did this also earlier when she was a bit upset. So the one eye blink looks unusual, and that can be interpreted that she's not in control anymore, that she's losing control over her body. But of course we mustn't forget that a girl like her spends hours in front of the mirror, putting makeup on, in particular mascara, and of course look with the other eye. And the second thing is, she talks about the dissociation from her body because things get so robotic and overwhelming. So that can be interpreted as a sign of trauma. The trauma is not from the abuse, I think. It is from the fact that she realizes these brief encounters are meaningful relationships which she needs to acknowledge, and she can't. She can't even remember the people, the guys she slept with. And the guilt she feels is really due to the fact that she is not acknowledging these relationships and that she can't acknowledge them. So that shows impressively that even these brief encounters are meant to mean anything, and she realizes that, and she can't do it. And that leads to the overwhelming feeling and dissociating from her body, being traumatized. So it's not because of the abuse or anything like that. It's not from acknowledging meaningful sexual relationships.
In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys that I remember.
Here again with the eyes.
That's it. But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? Like, if I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, you know? But yeah. I think that was kind of the hard part, is like conversing with them, and like when they'd kind of be like, oh, like we've only had 2 minutes or 3 minutes and you said 5 on the message.
Did someone say that to you?
Yeah. And obviously it just makes me feel so bad.
Do you think you should feel bad about that?
I guess when you've promised something to people who support you, it's kind of hard to let them down.
So it's interesting, again, what I said, she feels she lets them down, so she can't acknowledge these sexual relationships, and that led to the trauma. So in a way, there's a positive message here, that even these brief, promiscuous encounters have meaning, and that they need to be acknowledged. There's nothing like meaningless casual sex. So why am I discussing this? Well, you have to always ask yourself, why is it now a big topic on social media? Why is this allowed to spread? So one reason is that it's a massive distraction from other things going on. Even I am focusing now on this video, but one should probably draw attention to bigger, important things. It also promotes the decline of values, in particular family values. It's about openly cheating, destroying relationships. I'm sure some of these guys will then ultimately go to their spouses or girlfriends and tell them about it because of guilt and so on, and that ultimately might destroy relationships. On the other hand, also other girls might realize that this is an easy way to get lots of money and follow her, leading to further decline of values in our society. One can also ask, why is this even legal? A type of prostitution on social media platforms. Anyone can watch these kind of videos, while other people are censored. So the current video is already more than 15 minutes long, so I think I put the rest in a second part. So talk to you in a bit. Bye.